think I've been driving full time for about 4 years now,
Full
close to five.
time? Like how
Yeah.
many hours per week do you usually drive?
On an average, at least like I would say like if I'm not even crushing it, I would say like maybe like 50 hours. We definitely like we even have like a little motto with like trying to tell people how to make, 2000 a week. And the number one consistent way, and sometimes you don't have to do it. Sometimes it's under. I've definitely hit it under. Um, but the most consistent way to hit it to $2,000 a week driving Uber is to put in 60 hours. What we try to do to, a lot of people still like the, flexibility or the social life and stuff like that. So they still want to do things on the weekend or whatever, have some free days. So we usually try to tell people, if you just crush it Monday through Friday, then you could give yourself the weekend and it gives you the time that you have for leisure and everything like that. Because if you do 12 hours Monday through Friday, that's already 60 hours. Um, and that's just the best way we go about it. And we're not saying like you have to, like, a lot of people think like, oh well, like we're forcing people. We're just telling you like our best strategies, and that's pretty much what I've stuck to is doing the best I can. We've kind of like flopped around lately now that we're into content making,
Yeah.
to where like, we usually try to have like a free day. Monday is usually like our shooting day that we go and shoot content and stuff like that, or maybe put the video for the week, we put that together and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just that's how we go about it, man. Just I don't really have that many other obligations. I don't have kids. I'm single. No kids running around, no animals. So a lot of my time, man, like what else am I gonna do? Like be like everybody else watching Netflix and talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. Like it doesn't. I rather make some money, man. It's not that big of a deal to me. And I know if I sacrifice now, then I could play harder, later on in life, when I get everything, get the ball rolling and stuff. So it's about
True.
people's, priorities, man. And that's my priority right now is, leveling myself up, becoming the best version of myself, and doing other things. I'm not driving forever. I think that's what a lot of people need to understand too. Is like it's not a lifetime career,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be. It should be something that could let you get. It's a lily pad. You get to, or like the stepping stone. You get to one, you get to the next one until you get across, and that's just kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's not a very sustainable career, but I do think it's a
Hmm.
good um like job to do if you're trying to get to another point or like you have other goals in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you remember how much you earned in your first week of driving?
First week, man, that was so long ago. Not really. I'm sure it probably wasn't anywhere to what I'm making now, just because at that time I was fairly new to it and experimenting as well. Actually, the first time that I actually really was signed up for Uber was I was still working, so I was doing it part time. So anytime that I had available after work, maybe I'll drive for like, maybe 2 to 3 hours, just making a quick like $100 extra or something like that every other day or whatever. Or on my off days I'd spend, a few hours driving. But it was very experimental for me. So, maybe like probably like maybe under 1,000, maybe like, $500 to $600 for the week. But again, I wasn't driving like the way I do now.
Yeah, not like 12 hours a day.
Yeah, right.
That's so crazy to me. Like, okay, do you go to the gym?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you
Uh,
have time to do that? Because for me, the gym is like a 2 hour mission, like every single
man,
day.
yeah, who you telling? So my gym, I've actually like the past this past year has actually been a challenge of me getting like myself back into it, back into routine and stuff, because a lot of things are so different now. I'm out here in the Bay Area, and everything's so different now because people work remote. And I'm trying to remember if I had my car at that time. I think maybe I did. Like it was right before the pandemic started. But now I also drive a Tesla, so I also have to factor in, charge time and stuff like that, because I don't want to I want to minimize my downtime as much as possible, right? Because we don't want to spend 12 hours or more on the road. So
Yeah.
if I can, I would love to not. But now what I've actually kind of been doing, because a lot of people have been, now that they don't have to be at work and stuff like that, um, I actually start my driving like try to start my driving early in the morning, like 6 a.m., 5 a.m. And then midway through the day, pretty much when my battery starts getting lower too, um, I'll go to the either I'll go to the charge station first or I'll go work out. So I've been working out like midway through the day, like around noon.
Okay.
Because at least like if I start 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., by noon I've already hit 7 to 6 hours. So it doesn't like throw off my momentum too much, and then I could finish off the day, not being like, oh, I still have like 7 to 8 hours to do. You typically only have six or less.
Yeah.
So I've been working out midday, and I've actually cut it shorter. I used to work out for about 2 hours. I've narrowed it down to where I at least like work out for like an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour, and then I shower and get right back on the road. So I try to cut it down to like maximum an hour and a half.
Okay.
It's tough though. It's tough. It's because sometimes also like if the day is moving pretty good too. Like if like a couple weeks ago there was a big convention out here, the JP Morgan convention, and the earnings were good. So I was like, man, I may not go to the gym today. The money's out here.
Yeah.
Money's out here. I might go work out after. And we also in our apartment complex, we also have like a pretty nice rec room. So if I don't make it to the actual gym, then I just work out at the house.
Okay. That's good then. Were there a lot of major differences when you switched from driving a regular car?
Yeah, like it feels different. You have to get used to the regenerative braking. So when you lay off the acceleration, it slows. There's resistance to the motor, so you're not using your brakes. So that was a little thing that I was getting used to. Some people have a really hard time with that or don't like it. At first I didn't, but once I got used to it, it was cool. Um, Obviously like you have to think a little bit more about your time. Like it's not as scary as some people make it. Like there's this whole like myth of like everybody freaking out like as if their car is just randomly going to die. Like it's still a regular car. You're just replacing one resource of how it's being like powered. Because like some people are like, well, aren't you scared that your car's gonna die? I'm like, dude, I've never ran out of gas, so like, why am I gonna, run out of battery? Right? It's like
Yeah.
the car lets you know that it's time to charge or how low you're getting. The same way that your engine light, your gas tank light comes on. The same thing. The battery's like, oh, time to charge. You're getting low. It's like the same
Yeah.
exact thing. So I've never had that as a worry of mine. Um, but again, you do have to think about things a little bit more. So what I do is like if I know, and I've definitely got now that I've had the Tesla for about 4 years, I've gotten used to knowing where the charging stations are. So a lot of the times, what I try to do is either I'll use the feature in the app to have a destination filter. I'll use a destination to get to or around the area of where a charge station is, or if I know that I'm taking someone the ride that I'm either doing next, that pops up if it's nearby or whatever a charge station, then I know after I'm done with that, I'll just jump offline, go and charge. There's like a lot of things that like I kind of like strategize, but it's also on luck as well. For instance, like another easy one for me is I'll be looking for an airport ride. If I get one, cool. If I don't, fine. But over by the airport, there's two different charge stations like along the way. So typically I'm like, oh, if my battery's getting low and I hit an airport run, I'm like, cool. After I'm done with this ride, I'll just shoot over to the charge station after I'm done. But that was pretty much the only thing that's like really different. Oh, I mean, it's kind of frustrating because a lot of people don't know how to open the door.
Oh.
Um, and like I get it at first, but the part that makes it frustrating is when you actually give pretty simple instruction on like how to do it, and they still like don't do anything that you say. I give a pretty simple way of saying, I say push and hold your thumb inside the back of the handle, and you're gonna grab the handle as it comes out. I've like tried to sit there the many hours that I drive. I've tried to sit there in my head multiple days, multiple hours, thinking what is the easiest way I could give this instruction to somebody? Because some people still like they just don't listen. They have selective hearing, or they just do whatever they want. Because like I say thumb for a reason, because then you have your other fingers available to grab the handle. It's still like
Yeah.
you still grab it the same way you would with the regular door handle. But then people do this like backward stuff and like under, or they use their pinky. I'm like, all right, man, like I can only, I can only help you so much. It's like you can only
Yeah.
lead a horse to water, but you can't get him to drink it. But it was pretty cool because Uber had actually they gave like a like if it like it notifies the passenger. It's like, oh yeah, but your driver is driving a Tesla. Here's instructions on how to open the door.
Oh,
I don't know how often that happens. Someone showed me that, but also you got to understand, man, people don't look at their phone. They don't look at their phone at all when they're getting an Uber until like maybe last minute when they come outside. Cause like I still have people who get in the wrong car.
yeah.
It's I'm like, look, you got license plates, you got the color of the car, the name of the car, the name of the driver.
Yeah.
They still don't pay attention, but it
Oh,
is what
do
it
you know?
is.
Yeah. Do you know about the Say My Name scam?
Nah, what's that? What's up with that?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of similar to what you're talking about, like where people get in the wrong car, but they'll do it on purpose. And it'll be
What?
like, because as the driver, you're supposed to ask the passenger to say their name to make sure it's
Right,
the passenger, because they
right.
have like the make and model of the car and the license plate number and everything on their phone.
Yeah,
But some passengers will like get mad and tell the driver they need to say their name so they can make sure they're getting in the right car and not going to get kidnapped. And then sometimes people will like use that to just try to get a free ride.
really?
Yeah, and then just be like, oh, by the way, like the location in the app is wrong. I actually need to go to this place.
Wow. No, I haven't. Luckily, I haven't had that happen to me at all. And that's the thing that's sometimes is pretty frustrating too. Is like, um, some people like become like smart Alex about that. Like, if you ask their name to confirm it, they're like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, bro, I'm just asking to make sure you're my passenger. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to like get your social security number or anything. Like, people do that a lot. So like, that's interesting. I've actually have not had that happen. Thank God.
Have you ever been scammed before, or do you have any like bad Uber experiences?
I've had a couple I've had a couple, but luckily enough, like I've done over 25,000 trips, and
Oh,
luckily enough, yeah, crazy. I'm out here, I'm grinding, man. I'm telling you. Um, Luckily enough, I could only name about four situations out of the all those trips that I've ever
oh
done.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's a good ratio. It's a good ratio. I mean, of course, you're gonna come across people who have, bad attitudes, whatever. But I don't take it personal, and I don't even. I ignore them like a child, man. Like if you're gonna give me attitude for no reason, hey, I'm just gonna ignore it. I got the AirPods in, chilling, the music's on, whatever,
yeah.
and because some people feed into it. They're like, oh well, why are you giving me attitude? And I ain't got time to argue with you, man. But I got a story for you, which I'll get into. But I do know of a scam that did happen that was going on a few years ago. Was that people would order a ride, then they would call you as if they were Uber support, ask like saying, hey, go ahead and cancel the trip that you have right now. Um, and they would ask for like your name and your like login or something like that.
Oh,
And what they were doing was then they would log into your Uber account, um, and saying, or they would log in your Uber account and then they would basically cash out their earnings to their debit card
uh,
or their bank account or whatever. So hasn't happened to me, but I do know it was happening to people, and someone did try it. Someone did try it on me. Luckily enough, I was familiar with that scam already, so I just kind of like played with them a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, let me send you my password, and then I sent them like some stupid shit. Who knows? Um, but I have had where people. Here's the thing, and this is a bad thing that I think Uber needs to have a better either policy or way of investigating these things. Is people will either complain or give you a bad rating or bad feedback, let's say. I know some people do that in order to get a free ride. They'll try to be like, "Oh, my driver, blah blah blah." They'll come up with an excuse to say something was wrong with the trip, and the trip might have went perfectly fine. But some people will just use that in their advantage of getting a free ride and do stuff like that. So I've had random bad feedbacks. Like some people, I was getting like there was like a couple months ago, I was getting like one a week almost. I told Uber support, I was like, I think I'm being harassed because this is kind of weird. I kept getting a notification from Uber saying a passenger had reported that an argument and me being rude made them feel uncomfortable in the car, something like that, something along those lines. And I'm like I said, I don't have time to be arguing with anyone. So I'm like, nothing's happened. So where is this coming from? So they said that they'd look into it. I doubt they do. And I had another one. My most recent one was this lady said that I refused to give her a ride for discrimination.
Oh,
And it's weird, right? I'm a person of color. I'm also in San Francisco, which is very progressive, and I'm picking up all types of people, man. I don't have any type of discriminatory bone in my body at all. And I was like, that is pretty bizarre. I've never experienced anything like that. And these types of things also were starting to fall in line after COVID. I've never have experienced these things until like, I think people's like, I don't know, the behaviors are a lot different too now that after the pandemic. I think people try to be a little more entitled than they used to be.
yeah.
It's really bizarre, but also interesting because like again, these things I've definitely have noticed have all been after the pandemic. But
Hmm.
who knows? Like everybody's just like on edge about stuff and whatever. But I actually was yeah, I think I had to give I had to submit like a whole report about that whole incident and like give a whole rundown. It was really weird.
That is weird.
You know.
That kind of sucks.
It
Yeah.
it is. It's disappointing that people this is why I think Uber has, a bad um way going about this because it jeopardizes drivers' livelihoods, right? Like and they're definitely gonna prioritize the consumer over the driver. There's
Yeah.
always gonna be drivers signing up, but as long as the customer is being it, like they don't want to lose somebody who's giving them revenue, right? Because they got to pay us, but the customer is paying Uber, right? So that's
Yeah.
how they're making their money. So of course they're going to go with them before anybody else. So that's the downside. It's like somebody can make a lie. A few years ago, a person who I did have like a minor, I wouldn't even say it was an altercation, but she was just arguing with me about um the pickup location and where like how to pick her up. It was really weird because it was in a grocery store parking lot.
Oh,
And so the way it was a very small one and narrow one too. And so obviously the way like parking lots operate, you're supposed to drive on one side to get in and to get out. And so she's standing in front and I can't do a U-turn or anything like that. So I'm just like, just hop in. Like you walk 10 steps, man. It's not that hard. And she
yeah.
wanted me to do a whole U-turn and stuff like that. So she wouldn't let that go. Um, and then when it came to me dropping her off, she said she reported me saying that my car smelled like alcohol and marijuana.
Oh,
I'm like, come on, man. Like over just not making a U-turn. Like I can understand if you're like across this whole entire street or something like that, but like you walk 10 steps. That's all you had to do was just walk 10
yeah.
steps to the car. It's fine. But again, like I said, most interactions are a lot more positive than those. And we
Good.
don't have to deal with those people too often, which is great.
Yeah. Do you have a dash cam that like records the inside of your car?
So I was gonna save this. I was gonna save this for my channel, but I
Oh,
guess I guess you guys will hear it first. Um, I was actually recently deactivated from Uber.
oh,
They fully deactivated me. For the same things that we're talking about. They said that there was I had 1 to 2 reports of problematic behavior, something like that. And it was have the worst thing is like they don't give you any information, and I know that they do it for privacy reasons and stuff like that, but they don't give you any information of like who submitted it, what the argument was about, whatever the story was that the writer's even saying. You're just in the dark, in the dark. um and so like it was hard for, I was like, I haven't had any problems, like I've not had one single altercation. I'm thinking the rides are smooth. My Uber ratings high. That was another thing I couldn't understand is how am I deactivated and I'm in the high 4.9s. And I've even myself, when I take Uber, I've had drivers where they're like in the 4.7s. And I'm like, well, how are they making it to 4.7 without being deactivated? And I'm in the high 4.9s.
Yeah.
So it was so bizarre. And I had nothing to defend myself because yes, you're right. I didn't have a dash cam. And that was probably something that would have been able to, disprove what they were saying. All I had was my word versus their word, and like I said, the company's gonna take their word over, the drivers.
Yeah.
So that is actually something I for sure, now that I drive for Lyft now. I don't know if that was
Okay.
obvious or not, but yeah. So yeah, that is definitely an investment that I had to get into because you're right. If I were to have proof that literally the car, I'm pretty sure the car ride was more than likely silent, if anything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would have had that. But definitely, I definitely advise all drivers out there to have a dash cam for accidents, one that could see outside the car, and also one for the passengers, man, because things like this can and will happen.
Yeah.
It's
Damn, I'm sorry
unfortunate.
about that.
Uh, life goes on, man. And like I said, other things are rolling. This isn't, my life career. It is unfortunate and it can be inconvenient because let's say something happens on the same side with Lyft, then you really SOL. But yeah, that is definitely a number one thing that I think all drivers should have these times of days is because I used to think, I was like, man, I'm not gonna need a dash cam that bad because one, I got cameras on the car for the accident purposes. I have cameras
Yeah.
all around Tesla, but I do know that those random acts of violence and things like that happen. You see those videos on whatever, you see a clip, oh, this Uber driver was attacked. Um, I don't know if I'm just like arrogant or maybe egotistical, but I'm pretty sure I can handle my own if I were to, if I'm getting robbed or I'm just gonna give them whatever they want. I'm not fighting back, but of course there's people that are crazy out there and they just do crazy random acts of violence, but you don't really hear that too much out here. I know those are things that are like in more uh dangerous cities, maybe St. Louis or I know Baltimore was having a lot of issues with
Oh,
uh drivers specifically. Like Uber drivers were getting robbed and shot left and right out there. It was
that's great.
crazy. But yes, get a dash cam. Get a dash cam.
Yeah, we say that on our channel all the time. You should have a dash cam
100%.
inside and outside, like you said.
Yes, that is very important.
Yeah.
So
But so were you already signed up for Lyft before, or did you just have to start after you got deactivated from Uber?
yeah, no, I've been signed up with Lyft for quite some time. I think I signed up maybe like 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago. And just playing around with like um I think this was also when we were starting to make more ideas for, content creating and kind of going about like, who makes more, or maybe even Lyft was providing a lot more incentives at that time than Uber was. Because like these companies, they just keep fluctuating with like what they want to do with like incentives. They right now they're like, I think, and what's crazy is like I still get provided bonuses and stuff like from Uber, and like I received a notification the other day, was like, oh, like we've seen you haven't been on the road, let's get back on the road, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, that'd be nice if I could, you know but
Yeah.
so like I saw that the bonus, it was like literally $40. And so there's a lot of back and forth that I do to strategize, and that's why I think that is the downside of now I'm only available on one. Is I used to like to have the option of like, okay, Maybe Uber's bonuses are a little bit higher than Lyft's this week. I'll go and swap and drive over for Uber. That's what another thing that's another advice that I give for other drivers out there is like to maximize potential earnings. You know, sometimes some people do they multi app wrong. I don't think you should like, oh well, I'm not having got a ride 10 minutes on Uber. Let me jump on a Lyft. Focus on one throughout that either that day or that week. Hop on the other one. It's just pretty much how you could take advantage of pretty much both. You know, they take a lot of people say that Uber and Lyft take advantage of drivers. Drivers could take advantage of Uber and Lyft. One's
Yeah.
providing a good incentive, or you could get both in the same week. If you mash out, you know, 2 days here and then you finish off the end of the week bonus for Lyft, you got two bonuses in one. You know, so it's I think that's the main reason why I signed up with Lyft was to have the availability to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But have you tried going to a green light hub in person?
For Uber when that happened,
Yeah.
yeah, so I did. And you know, the guy was like, he was hearing me out and he's like, man, this he's like, honestly, the downside of this, he's like, I've heard your story before. You know, and he's like, I genuinely believe you because I think people are out here, you know, being lied on. He's like, I've literally have seen this already. He's like, I would free up your account right now. He heard me out, I gave the whole story, whatever. He's like, but the thing is, once they have once they like so you could submit a review of like I guess your way of proving that either it didn't happen or your side of the story of like of why you shouldn't be deactivated. Once you submit a review and once that is like finalized, either they make a decision, right? So if after reviewing, they either be like, all right, cool, you can stay on, or no, you're done. And once you're done, your account is permanently locked. So like even the people at the Greenlight Hub, they don't even have the capability of opening the account. Um, I don't know if it'd be possible. Maybe if I get some clout or something too. You know, and depending on how much clout I get, I won't need Uber or anything like that. But let's say I get some little clout or something like that, or somehow, some way could to talk to people in the higher up. Maybe they could do something about it, but it's just looking like they just give you a hard no. They just give you
Yeah.
like they don't even give you a thought about it. Um, because what I do is I try to play it safe to save myself, but clearly I don't think it matters because, like I told you before, when I was getting these reports back to back, I will call Uber support and be like, hey, I don't think this is accurate. I don't think it's true. I haven't had any conflict with anyone. These reports are false. They claim they put it in their notes. But when I said the same thing, they're like, yeah, well, you've had the same report saying the same thing. I'm like, well, yeah, because I keep getting reported for the same thing that's not happening. So of course I'm gonna sit there and call you guys and be like, hey, I'm not getting in conflict or any confrontation with people, you know? And they just basically say it's like, you know, the boy who cried wolf type of thing.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty disappointing.
it is. But again, with a mega company like that, I get where the fault lies, right? Like I get how they're just gonna move on because one, who knows if it saves them money anyways, having, you know, a less driver or one less driver out there. Like I said, I don't think it really has anything to do with saving money and stuff like that because people are constantly signing up. So they're always gonna have a driver type of thing. And I think that's why they do it. It's like people are always gonna sign up. So it's not like it's gonna be an issue. And of course the customer is gonna come first. So it is what it is. It's, you know, I don't let it affect me too much. Part of me was almost like a little embarrassed at first because it was like I got fired from a job, and I've never I've never been fired from work or anything like that, and I'm a pretty likable guy. That's why, you know, I've even got the good feedback that I had on, you know, the YouTube channel that I created.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of drivers and stuff like that, you know, chopping it up, hitting me up about it. Even telling my story when I'm driving riders, you know, what I've like gone through, what I'm doing with content creating and stuff like that. They find it inspiring themselves. Say I got my head on my shoulders. So it completely goes against like who I actually am.
Yeah.
and for the reason, right? They're like, oh, well, you're over here arguing and fighting with riders. It's like, I would get that, and that's understandable if I did have a bad attitude about driving. But like, if you even look at my content, it's not like I'm not sitting here talking shit about riders, you know.
Yeah.
It's like being positive about, the situation and everything. So I don't let it defeat me. It did have me be like, damn, that sucked. And, I had to, my stomach was upside down for a little bit, but the good side is, I did have something to fall back on for the time being, which is Lyft. And Lyft has been fine.
That's good. Well, yeah, guys, make sure subscribe to J Eddie on YouTube.
Yes, yes. Hit the
Description also
like and
there.
subscribe button.
Yeah,
That's
help
right.
support a fellow deactivated driver. Because I know like
Yes.
this happens to so many people and it's really upsetting because like a lot of these people will be innocent or like they'll just get deactivated for like literally no reason. And then
Yeah.
they're left with like one less way to make money.
Yeah, exactly. And what was kind of interesting is like I've had before, because like I said, this is the first time I've actually even talked about it openly. Ron knows, of course, because I live with him. But other than that, maybe like a couple close friends or whatever, just venting about the situation, or whatever. But before I've actually had people make a comment like that before, being like, hey, like I've been deactivated, for no reason, didn't know. And me, I kind of like, I didn't really, I guess I could have been, I wasn't like not sympathetic about it, but at like, I couldn't help but like kind of be like, well, you had to have probably done something. But now that it's happened to me, I actually believe a lot of people out there a lot more now. It's like because some people get lied on, like I said, for the simple fact of just a free fare. Some people just rather not. Uber's expensive. When I did the Uber rental, when my car was in the shop one time, and I was doing the rental through Hertz, and to get to the Hertz from my place, it was like $60 for
Oh,
Uber ride. Thank God they have a voucher for it. But even still, I'm like, damn, well, a lot of people, their companies and stuff are paying for it too. But the people who do pay out of pocket for it, I'm like, damn, dude, how do people afford taking trips on Uber? Man, that shit is expensive,
yeah,
you
no.
know? And so, some people get to the point of being so desperate where they're like, okay, I'm gonna lie about this ride. Oh, I'm gonna say my Uber driver was taking wrong turns, or he was doing this and it caused me to be late, or this and that, just to get a free trip. So now that it's happened to me, I'm like, damn, okay, like, yeah, people are probably really out here being petty just over a free ride or whatever it is. Or maybe they have, I don't know. I can't say, like, it's hard for me to take it personal because I know I don't do anything for people to have something against me. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe people do, not like my look. I got tattoos. People might think I'm arrogant because I drive a Tesla. I've had people make remarks like that. They're like, oh, like, you think you're so cool with your car? And I'm like, I just bought it because it's easy. Like, I don't pay for gas, bro. Like, calm down. Like, some people, and like, or like, they think because I drive a Tesla, I'm like Elon's brother or something. They're like, oh well, Elon Musk. I'm like, okay, well, what's that got to do with the car I drive, man? Like, you got beef with Elon Musk, that's on you. Like, I just drive the damn car. I didn't build it. I didn't help him build it. He doesn't text me. Relax.
So you
So,
guys are like besties, like talking
man,
all.
yeah, people all the time, man. Like, people like, well, I don't like Elon Musk. I'm like, okay, like, why you acting like I like get a text message or good morning or something, and like we're best friends. Like, I just drive the damn car. Let's just touch up on the whole strike situation. Maybe you can even inform me a little bit about what's going on with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So basically in November of last year, the TLC approved raised rates for drivers. They increased it by like 7% per minute and
Mm,
23% per mile. But then at the end of last year, Uber decided to sue. They had a lawsuit that blocked this. So a bunch of Uber
mm,
drivers were mad. They decided to go on strike and they had like a 24-hour strike where there was supposed to be like no one driving for Uber in New
driving.
York. And
Yeah,
just crazy.
Yeah, they were like calling it the blackout or something like that. I think like even drivers were trying to do that, you know, nationwide. The thing is, you're gonna have people like me who where um one, I'm really not in a like I don't see any value out of, you know, standing outside yelling, holding up signs on a stick, you know, marching around for, you know, 24 hours, or just even taking the day off. Like I'm like, okay, well, a lot of these things don't change, and I don't think it's due to people like me, because some people are like, well, you're part of the problem, because, you know, if we had more people out there doing it, then, you know, it would change. But I really don't think so. I really don't. um I think it probably could impact if literally somehow some way you could get every single driver to not drive, you know, for a day or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure that would do, like, you know, maybe put a dent in something. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, then do I sacrifice my situation on, you know, maybe I have to pay a bill that week that I can't afford to take a day off or something like that. Or I don't know. Like, I just usually I don't ever see an answer or solution out of when it comes to protesting. You know, I see it a lot in San Francisco. Like I said, it's a very progressive city. I remember for like 4 or 5 months, we had people striking from that were employees at Kaiser. So
Oh,
anytime you drove by any of the hospitals outside, and that was also kind of the scary part, is like, bro, if you have an emergency, you got to go through this mob of people. We're outside with the megaphone. I might have been shot or something trying to get inside, and y'all are over here holding your sticks and signs and stuff. And they were doing it for months, months. And I mean, I don't know how much of that has changed. I don't know if they were like, all right, bro, like I can't, I got to go back to work. I don't know. But I just really never hear about it coming out to the light, right? Like I've never heard anything positive out of protesting and striking. Even the whole Black Lives Matter stuff. I know this is completely off topic, but like I didn't. What happened after that? Like what benefits came from, you know, all the protesting and looting and all that stuff? I nothing changed. Nothing happened. You know, we're still coming across the same experiences. We still have the same problems. Cops
yeah.
are still doing the same things. It, I don't see it being the solution. But you know, if we could come up with something that like we know as a unit would work, then I'd be for it. But I don't know, man. Like there's not a lot of people got to be unified with stuff like that. It would have to be like every single driver does not go online. And I know that was part of their goal, but then you're gonna have people who can't afford to go offline, or you're gonna have people who just like, I'm okay. Like me, I don't, of course I'd like to make more money. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're gonna do anything at it. They got more money than I do, and they're going to be able to fight off any cases. You like try suing Uber by yourself. Good luck. They're going to have all the best lawyers and stuff like that. It's not going to work, man. They
Yeah.
got the power. They have the power. And in order to overrule someone's power like that, every single person has to go against it. And it might even have to be the riders act like they care so much about drivers and stuff like that. And you know, when the whole Prop 22 thing was a whole big deal, you know, they try to act like they wanted to do anything for the driver in the right way, which I appreciate if they're actually genuine about it. But they could do the same thing too. How about they don't use Uber? The drivers don't go online. The riders don't take an Uber. Everybody in the world is against Uber until they fix the situation. But it's not going to happen, man. It's just
Yeah.
not. Like I said in the beginning to you, is ever since I've been driving, and even having the idea of making content, you know, with Ron,
Mhm.
is we've been seeing that people have been protesting for years. People have been going on strikes for years, and I don't think anything has ever came out of those. I don't think they've changed anything because Uber's looked outside their building like, oh, all right, we got to do something about this. I don't think that's ever happened. So it's unfortunate. Because there are a lot of things that are like kind of contradictive. You know, the inflation is here. But again, at the same time, it's like, damn, do I really want to go against somebody like that right now? Because Uber could do everything that all the other jobs are doing, is laying people off. You know what I'm saying? And they might even be doing that internally, like corporate. but they're not doing that. They're not laying off drivers. But what if they did? It's like, am I really going to complain because I'm getting 20 cents less than I was last year per mile versus, because what's going on right now? I don't know. I also think that here's my like short answer to that. My biggest problem with like protesters and stuff like that is, at the end of the day, everybody who is a driver has made the choice to be a driver.
Mm-hmm.
No one's keeping you there. No one's telling you have to be a driver. No one's forcing you to be like, this is your only option. If it's not working out, that's what I have against the people that argue so much about the pay. Is if you have a problem with how much you earn with driving Uber and to you it's not enough, don't drive. Simple. Like, you don't have to be an Uber driver. You don't have to drive for Lyft. You don't have to do any of it. No one's telling you you have to do it. I know we all like the benefits of it, the flexibility, the freedom, but if it doesn't work out for you, my survival instinct would automatically kick in. This isn't working out for me. I got to figure out something else, and that's exactly what I do. I'm not going to come on YouTube. I'm not going to say, "Oh, Uber's doing this, yada yada yada. Uber sucks. Don't drive Uber." But you're still a driver. You're still a driver, man. So like, it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's contradictive. Whatever. I think a lot of people are trying to just have somebody else solve their problem, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really what it comes down to. Of course, we all would love to get paid more. Who wouldn't? I think anyone in any business would love that, right?
Yeah.
If you're even at Burger King and they say, well, hey, we could give you $2 more, no one's gonna be like, nah, it's okay. Like, I'm good. No, like, give me the $2. So it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Like, of course we like it, and of course, I think a lot of people, the drivers, have a problem with holding on to the passive driving too. Of course, Uber was paying a lot more in the earlier days of Uber because there was less drivers. You got to think about how many people are out there driving now. I don't even know the number, but I'm sure there's a crazy amount of millions of people who were active drivers in
Yeah.
2023. So it's like, you got to look at those numbers too, man. Like, maybe they can't even afford to be able to pay the way that they used to. So I'll tell you, I remember I was making like, we are pulling in 3K in a week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like, it was, still had to grind for it, but the bonuses helped it be a lot more achievable than it
Mm-hmm.
is now. Like I said, bonuses sometimes are like $50. I remember at one point they were like, $300, 350. But it is what it is. You got to accept it, man. Like, there's just some things you have to accept.
Yeah, I think honestly, Uber is basically a monopoly at this point.
100%.
So, like they're not even worried about like a million drivers could quit and then a million more are gonna sign up in the next like month or whatever. So
That's what I'm saying. There's always going to be someone who signs up, man. Like, you can't. They're solidified. You can't win that battle anymore, man. You just can't. You can't.
yeah.
If you had the ability to influence enough people to, one, not drive, two, not sign up, you have riders not riding, okay, then we could talk. Like, you did something. But I don't think it's gonna happen, man. And there's a lot of people who have gotten to the point of like I said, they have to, like, even like that'll never even happen on the rider side, right? Because people have gotten to the point of, they're so dependent on Uber. That's their only way of transportation now. That's the only way they get to work. That's their only way of getting to the store, whatever it is. A lot of people are actually dependent on Uber now.
Yeah.
And that's on both sides of the fence, right? That's on the rider side, that's on the driver side. So you got to either readapt and change like how you are about it or your situation, or you just gotta get over it, man. You gotta get over it.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, thank you so much for all of your insight, all your answers, everything. And thanks for your time too. I know time is money. To
Oh
take the
yeah.
time to do the interview is very nice.
Oh yeah, appreciate you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and being on your guys' platform. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
guys,
yeah,
subscribe down below in the description. We'll have all of his links down there.
appreciate that. Yeah, and I wish I didn't. I could get to talking, man. I could do this all day. That's why, like, some people tell me I need my own radio station, podcast, you know, and that's why I'm, you know, heading towards that, because I'll just be over here talking your head off. But yes, thank you so much for your time, you know, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, of course.